Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are completely flipping the script. Instead of you obsessing over a total stranger, we're going to dive deep into the behavioral science of making them obsess over you. We're talking about unlocking 5 deeply rooted psychological secrets that literally govern human attention and memory. Let's get right into it.
Okay, think about this for a second. Have you ever met someone and you just couldn't stop thinking about them for days? Like, you didn't even know why. They weren't necessarily the best looking person in the room or the funniest, but something about them just totally stuck in your brain. Now, I want you to flip that perspective. What if you were that person? What if, without sending a single text, without trying way too hard, someone was lying awake at night thinking about you?
So, there is actually a massive difference between what we usually do and what actually works. Most people naturally default to the desperate approach, being completely available, over-explaining every little thing, and basically just trying way too hard to be liked. But today, we are focusing entirely on the magnetic approach. Now, this isn't magic, and to be super clear, it's definitely not toxic manipulation. It is purely about using established psychology to spark involuntary interests and, maybe most importantly, to stop self-sabotaging your own social interactions. Okay, let's dive into this first secret. It's called the Zeigarnik effect. Discovered back in the 1920s by Russian psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, this effect is essentially a glitch in our brains. It turns out we remember interrupted or incomplete tasks almost twice as well as completed ones. The brain basically treats unfinished things like open loops, and let me tell you, those open loops absolutely demand the brain's attention. Your mind literally cannot rest until that loop is closed. Zeigarnik actually figured this out by just watching cafe waiters. Before a bill was paid, these waiters could remember every single complex detail of an unpaid order, like every minor modification, every special request. They had it locked down. But the exact moment the bill was paid, boom, the task was complete and they forgot everything instantly. She went on to prove this in lab tests. So the crucial takeaway here is that when you wrap everything up perfectly in a neat little bow, people just forget about it.
So how do we practically apply this in real life? Simple. You stop finishing every single story. You stop giving away every answer right off the bat. When you're texting or just chatting, leave the absolute most compelling detail for later. Try saying something like, "Oh man, I'll tell you the rest of that story when I see you." You're not being rude at all. You're just purposely leaving the conversation incomplete. By doing this, you're not the one chasing them. You are giving their brain a reason to chase the answer and consequently to keep thinking about you. All right, that brings us to our second psychological principle. Quick question. Why do you think social media is so incredibly addictive? I mean, it's not because every single post is a masterpiece. It's actually because of something called variable reward scheduling. This is when a reward is given out at totally unpredictable intervals. Your brain has no idea when that next hilarious video or deeply relatable meme is coming, so what do? You keep scrolling. That unpredictability creates these highly addictive, almost obsessive behavioral loops.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how psychologist B.F. Skinner proved it historically. He put rats in a box with a little lever. When he rewarded them with food every single time they pressed it, they just pressed it casually whenever they were hungry. When he never rewarded them, they stopped entirely. Makes sense, right? But when he rewarded them randomly, they pressed that lever obsessively, nonstop. This exact mechanism is the foundation of slot machines, social media algorithms, and honestly, the most charismatic people you will ever meet.
The translation to human interaction is actually pretty simple. Predictable equals forgettable. Think about it. If you are always warm, always completely available, and always responding instantly, people naturally just start to take you for granted. But if you allow your natural, authentic moods to fluctuate, like sometimes you're super enthusiastic and other times you're just neutral or kind of busy, you become incredibly magnetic. People will literally chase your attention to try and win back that high-energy version of you. Just remember, though, this is about letting your genuine, authentic self show through. It is not about playing fake, exhausting mind games.
Moving on to the third secret, and this one requires just a little bit of nuance. Look, people don't actually fall for folks who are just really impressive. They fall for people who truly understand them. In psychology, this is called identity mirroring. It means closely listening to how someone describes themselves, their deeply held self-concept, and then genuinely reflecting that back to them. When you pull this off, you create this profound, incredibly rare sense of feeling understood. I mean, most people spend their entire lives feeling slightly misunderstood. So when you offer them this feeling, it's powerful. Imagine telling someone, that makes total sense. You've always been someone who doesn't take the easy path. If you say that to a person who internally views themselves as, say, a resilient fighter or a bit of a nonconformist, they don't just feel complimented.
They feel completely 100% seen. It creates a deeply empathetic and safe psychological experience for them. Their brain is going to keep returning to that rare moment of feeling understood, which means, yep, they're going to keep thinking about you.
Okay, secret number 4 is strategic scarcity. This is the psychological principle that dictates humans consistently value and desire what is rare, or what might just disappear. Think about what most people do the second they like someone. They become totally accessible, right? Instantly. They reply in 2 seconds, they clear their entire schedules, and they make themselves completely available. Well, according to behavioral psychology, that instantly kills attraction. To really understand why this happens, let's look at the famous cookie jar study. Researchers took 2 jars filled with the exact same cookies. One jar had 10 cookies in it, and the other had only 2. When asked to rate them, people consistently rated the cookies from the near-empty jar, the 2-cookie one, as significantly more desirable and valuable. Guys, they were the exact same cookies. The only difference was the perception of scarcity. So how do we actually translate this into our own actionable behavior? Well, first, build a genuinely rich life. This isn't about just pretending to be busy. It's about actually having real things going on. Second, make your attention selective. When your attention is actually rare, the people who finally get it feel incredibly special. And third, be the one to end conversations first when things are at a high point. Be completely self-contained and genuinely unbothered. That kind of independent energy, it's just undeniably magnetic. All right, that brings us to our final and honestly probably the most powerful secret of all, the Pratfall effect. This completely shatters the myth that we need to be absolutely flawless to make a strong impression. The Pratfall effect is this wild phenomenon where highly competent people become significantly more attractive and likable the moment they show a small human flaw. That's right, trying to be utterly perfect is actually hurting your ability to connect with people. Back in 1966, a psychologist named Elliot Aronson had participants listen to audio recordings of people taking a difficult quiz. In one version, the person delivered a near-perfect performance. Wow, great. But in another version, the same person delivered that near-perfect performance, but right at the end, they clumsily spilled a cup of coffee and nervously apologized. When participants were asked who they liked more, the person who spilled the coffee won by a landslide. Literally, minor clumsiness made a highly competent person completely irresistible. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why we need to stop performing all the time. A perfect performance makes you feel untouchable. And guess what? If you're untouchable, you're unrelatable. And if you're unrelatable, you're forgettable. But being highly competent and then showing a real, unpolished moment, like spilling your coffee or admitting a slightly awkward truth, that makes you human, accessible, and absolutely irresistible. Seriously, letting people see your real quirks is the most magnetic thing you can possibly do. So let's do a quick, rapid-fire recap of the 5 secrets we've covered in this explainer today. Number 1, the Zeigarnik effect. Leave those open loops. Number 2, variable reward. Embrace a little unpredictability. Number 3, identity mirroring. Make people feel deeply, truly seen. Number 4, strategic scarcity. Protect your rare attention. And number 5, the Pratfall effect. Own your human flaws. Remember, these tools are not about pretending to be someone you aren't or tricking anybody. They're just about stopping the self-sabotage so you stop blending into the background. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder. Are you ready to stop performing, drop the completely predictable script, and let your genuine self become truly unforgettable? You deserve to be remembered, and now you have the psychological tools to make sure you are. If this explainer sparked your curiosity and gave you something fresh to think about, please like and subscribe for more deep dives. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one.